Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you guys can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be filming a video that isn't 100% positive, but I hope it's something that we can all get a good laugh about. Today I'm going to be talking about tropes that I dislike, and primarily for this I'm going to be focusing more on YA because I feel like the tropes that I see in adult books, I'm not so familiar with. I haven't been reading a whole lot of them up until recently, so I don't have a whole lot that really sticks out that really grinds my gears. But I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the ones that I have noticed in YA recently that have really been pissing me off. So the first one I have here is actually love at first sight. I do not like this trope. It absolutely 100% does not make sense to me. You can be in lust at first sight, you can think that someone's attractive at first sight, but you cannot fall in love with someone. That is not what love is. Love is like a much deeper connection with somebody, and I really hate when I read in books where people are like, oh, I knew automatically that I loved him. It's like, no, you really found him attractive and wanted to jump his bones, but I wouldn't necessarily say that you loved him. The next one that I actually want to talk about is one that I realized a little bit recently really annoyed me, and it's one of the ones that I realized from rereading Harry Potter. If you guys saw my vlog on Monday, you will have seen that I am rereading Harry Potter right now, and I realized that I absolutely hate the chosen one trope. For some reason, it really gets to me. I don't like the chosen one at all. I don't think that like the main character being this completely selfless, would die for his friends kind of thing, where he is the chosen one, only he can do it. For some reason, it really gets to me because I truly believe it takes a village, it takes a group of people, it takes, you know, a group of friends, a group of cast of characters to be able to achieve something in a book. So for me, the chosen one seems like such a stretch. Now, while I kind of understand a little bit more in Harry Potter because he is specifically something needs to be done from him to stop Voldemort, for me in other books, now that I've realized this kind of bugs me, I can kind of see why it's bugging me so much, because there needs to be a group to achieve most ends in books, and I think that it kind of takes away from the story and from character development, just putting it all on one character, and I think that is why I hate this so much. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is one that I didn't realize really bugged me until someone pointed it out, and I can't really remember who it was, but it was about 1.5 years ago. And now every single time that I read about it, it really bugs me. Now this is a YA specific thing because there are, this happens a lot in YA, and it is essentially where parents or adults are absent from the story, thus leading the children to be able to do essentially whatever they want. Now it kind of, I don't know, like, in most books, in most YA books that you're reading, they're anywhere from, 14, 15 to like mid-20s, and that's considered YA. Now for me though, when I read the books where the kids are 18 and younger, and I think about my younger siblings being 18 and younger and the way that they would react to certain circumstances, there needs to be an adult there. And the stories that really bug me are the ones where maybe the kid had no parental advisory growing up, and then all of a sudden they're left to these things. Well, where did they learn how to be good people? Where do they learn how to be able to handle these situations? It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense to the story. And the more I read about that in stories, it actually really bugs me. And I started to realize the stories in YA that I really liked are the stories where there are present parents or there are present adults in books. There are some sort of mentors. There are people who are able to kind of help them grow. Now, you can still have a YA character that is doing something that is very difficult, because obviously YA is just that the protagonist of the book is younger, the main character is younger, and that's okay. And it's still okay to have an adult that does kind of help them. It makes sense. It is how things would truly be. Now, I've read a couple of books that are post-apocalyptic where the child has obviously been through a lot when they are very young, and it shapes them into who they are supposed to be, and that I can get on board with, but I can't get on board with real life circumstances, real life stories where a young adult is just able to do all these things without any kind of parental advisory, without any kind of like adult mentor, any kind of adults really in the world. I hate that it's just very convenient for authors to kind of remove adults from stories for the sake of making sure that the young adult character is the main character. Now the next one I want to talk about is token diverse characters. I absolutely hate this trope. This is a trope that I think really bugs me for a multitude of reasons. I feel like diversity deserves its own books. I feel like at the same time it should also be common enough that multiple diverse characters in a book should exist. I feel like in real life, it is so common to know multiple diverse people, you know, different races, different sexualities, different genders. I think it's so common. So for me, when I just see like a token, you know, like a racial character or, you know, like a gay character, and there's no development, there's no, you know, backstory, there's no like anything about them, there's not enough depth to them, it really gets to me because I feel like it's laziness on an author's part. I feel like it's their way of trying to placate people into wanting to read their books, but I think it always falls flat for me. And I have realized this more so recently by reading books where either diversity is the main, you know, the main character is diverse, or it has an incredibly diverse cast of characters, and I realize how much I love that. Or if it is a book where diversity is present, but it is just common, like there is just a character that happens to be gay or a character that happens to be African American, and it's done so well, and you can kind of tell when an author just throws it in to make people happy and when an author throws it in because they realize that's how life really is and that these characters really do deserve their time. Another thing that really bugs me, I was actually looking up lists of tropes, and I realized that this is something that I have more so recently within the last like 5 or 6 months started to realize really bugged me, and it's conveying things like conveying a feeling with a look and not really opening your mouth. And this kind of plays into communication. I hate bad communication in books where things could be easily solved by communication and no one does it. And this, I feel like, is the gateway to that. It's when people, oh, he cast me a look and I realized he's mad, or, you know, I understood what he was saying from the way that he was looking at me. And it's like, you don't know that. Like, for me especially, I have what you call a resting bitch face, and I look like I'm constantly mad. So if somebody was having a conversation with me, all they would gain from the conversation they're having with me is to assume that I'm generally pissed off. So for me, this kind of trope really bugs me. I would prefer people to just open their mouth and speak to each other. If you guys have watched any of my older videos, you'll know that this is something that has really been bugging me. All right, and I have 2 more. The first one I want to talk about is Let's Split Up. I'm going to breeze over this really quickly. I hate stories where characters are put in circumstances where obviously sticking together is going to be the best route, but instead they decide that splitting up to achieve something is a better idea. And if you are familiar at all with horror movies, you'll know that that's definitely always 100% a very bad idea. And the last one that I want to talk about is probably the one that annoys me the most, and it is villain redemption. There are far and few books in between that I have read where the villain is just the villain, and I feel like very minutely the Darkling was kind of that for me, or Voldemort was just sort of Voldemort. But other than that, I feel like a lot of times authors want to try to redeem their villainous characters, and I don't understand why. We like our villains, we like our dark characters, and I don't think that we need to have an author coming up behind us and being like, oh, but here's his redemption arc, he's actually a really great person. Just give me a bad guy and give me a bad guy. Like, don't try to make them better. What's his name from The Red Queen? Part of the reason why I stopped reading it, the younger brother was such a heinous villain, and then I started finding out later on in the book that he actually becomes a good guy again, and I'm just like, but why? Like, just give me a villain and keep it that way. Like, I much prefer that to hastily done redemption arcs. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave down below some tropes that you absolutely hate, and it can be in any genre whatsoever, adult or YA. I would love to know ones that really bug you, because a lot of these I didn't realize how much I necessarily hated them until I started seeing other people's videos over the last couple of months, or like reading articles on it, and I think it's really funny. But if you also hate any of these, please gripe to me down below so we can talk about it. But I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!